Hello viewers, and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. I'm your host Pipu Chu once again, and today we're going to be taking a look at a dual naval slash land battle, which will be fairly interesting because I believe that they originally had naval inside the beta. It wasn't necessarily all too fun to play, so they changed it up a bit and they added it. They've re-added it now that they have some balancing stuff, just essentially re-added to it, and well. The battle has begun here. Looks like, yeah, I'm going for Constantine here, which is the middle portion of the map, and I'm really just trying to get my planes to land and to drop onto it. In the meantime, I'm trying to get some infantry out there and into the fray. I have some of these, I'm using my China Rising deck, which features some pretty unique new aircraft and some new things. Namely, it should be pretty good against these air spam decks because it features large amounts of planes. In this battle in particular, I actually, for this battle in particular, it's a 4v4, technically a 3v3 due to the fact that right now, I just, for whatever reason, two people, one on each side, have dropped. So, my opponent here seems to be going very heavily on the air. That's fine, we can get some more planes to deal with that. So far, I haven't bought any ships, though my ally has a ton of them here. I've actually bought some of these smaller transport ones, or rather, these are river crossing boats. They can sail into the river areas and the aqueducts and the areas over here, which is the reason why I wanted them. I'm gonna see what I can nab off of this paratrooper blob, but I have actually some of these Schmel things, which are 50-point boats, and they're actually armed with an MRLS system, and along with them I actually have a little Muna craft, which is pretty much a moving FOB, which is very, very neat and very, very kind of useful too. So, anyhow, with that sort of said, the game sort of begins, we are moving in, and we'll just really just see how the game plays out, you know, how the battles now are going to develop with this whole duel system, and really just go from there. Oh, looks like I'm taking some flak from some eagles from the looks of it. That's fine, we can deal with that. And yeah, we'll pretty much just go along with this and really just see what we can do. So, the naval combat, in my opinion, it's not that great, just in its current state, mainly because it sort of devolves into this giant shooting gallery, unfortunately. I see that my opponent here is bringing in one of these, his Lafayette little French cruiser, which has these guns. He's shooting at my Schmels, and unfortunately I wasn't able to get these inside the little canal, so I'm going to actually get them to turn back because they are a little bit of a threat. Now, as you may have noticed, these things are armed with a little anti-air cannon in addition to those MRLS systems, and these are just going to pummel these planes, but unfortunately they're not that damaging. I'm going to get some of my SUs to try to take these planes out and then to really just brawl with these guys. Come on, where are my planes? And yeah. So currently what happens inside the naval battles is that a lot of these big ship blobs form, and the general playstyle for them is that you mainly play in numbers from them. My ships should actually be able to get in a fairly accurate rocket barrage, so I'll actually get them to shoot because they look like they're about to die anyways. And the naval combat, I mean, I'm using these ships for their MLRS systems, and I believe the Americans have one with super high long-range missiles, but it's mainly devolving into these blob fights of troops where boats sort of go in and out of these swarms of ships, and inside these swarms of ships, these boats will typically be armed with fairly long range. I'm going to help my buddy out by bringing in some supply ships. You'll see here that all of his ships, or at least the vast majority of them, seem to be out of missiles. And this is because the naval battles seem to be based a lot about using these radar missiles, which usually go up to 9 or 8K, and really just trying to take people out with those things more so than anything else. So yeah, that is so far, I mean, the most notable portion of the air campaign. Unfortunately, it seems to be more so about just having tons and tons of those boats than anything really. But hopefully that'll change inside the future. I'm going to deal with these planes over here, and we'll go back to the naval stuff. Hopefully they don't take out my Mana boats just yet, because these are supply vessels, and they should be able to keep this big blob of ships firing soon. So yeah, currently, I mean, the blue 4 player is getting really close to this blob of troops that we have. Typically, inside the naval-only battles, these turn into rocket barrages more than anything. And how the ships work so far is that they usually have a front gun, like an actual naval gun system. They usually have a SSM, that's ship-to-ship missile system, and they usually have some sort of miscellaneous weapon. Usually these are some sort of missile system or gun system used to intercept helicopters and airplanes, but more often than not, you'll find them being used to, oh, I forgot to pull my planes back, oh well. You'll find these more so used to actually intercept missiles than anything. And following that, you'll see quite a few boats just carry miscellaneous goods, such as those MRLS systems, which are used to just sort of take out pretty much ground targets if they're river going. So far, I mean, how the naval system really goes is that ships have a few unique stats to them, mainly in the strength of health and sailing, and this CWN, that's close-in weapon systems. How that works is that ships have sailing, a different sailing type, essentially restricting them to different areas, meaning that capital ships, such as the big ones over here, like the Udaloi and the Siberian, the Russian big ships, those are worth 500 points each. These ones, they're deep sea, meaning that they can't go into the rivers, and on the opposite side you have some of those river cruising boats like my Schmells over here, which can go inside these rivers and they can provide support for our troops, like for example over here. If these guys weren't in minimal range, I could actually fire off a rocket barrage at them and try to help our guys out like that. I think I'll try to barrage these guys over here. And yeah, so yeah, this little boat here will be able to fire off its little missile system on the back and do some damage like that. So it's very neat how they have the boat systems going on. Now, I mean, the main thing is that in naval combat, most of the time the battles just sort of devolve into this giant brawling match between a few ships with their missile systems, and more often than not, they don't use their guns, but this one's an oddity. You do get to see some of their gun action too. And yeah, I mean, how it works is really that close-in weapon system destroys enemy ships, and usually the heavier boats are armed with very good or exceptional ones, and the smaller boats are typically inside the bad category. And those systems will generally shoot at pretty much anything, at missiles or planes, and if you have a big blob of ships like this, it'll just absolutely wreck those planes. And yeah, it'll do that on one hand. Ships also have ECMs, which will actually be deployed onto enemy aircraft and stuff and such to just get rid of those, so it's also neat. Over here, my Schmel is going to open up slightly on that Raven, but it's not going to do too much. Inside these battles on land and sea, so far what I've seen is that the land combat isn't nearly as important as the naval one, just simply due to the fact that the naval portion is just worth so many more points. So yeah, over here it looks like the enemy has a little blob of ships too. They have, you know, some Japanese ones like or South Korean ones like the Hatsuyuki, the Bakyu, and of course you also have some of the English ships like the Oliver Hazard Perry here too. And they're effectively shooting us with a few missiles here and there, really trying to do some damage there. In the meantime, I think I'll retaliate by pick out the blob right here. I think I'll retaliate by using my Shmu MRLS systems to really just put down a barrage there, seeing as how these ones have looks like they've escaped, so we'll use them to do that. And in the meantime, how are we doing over here? It looks like helicopters are unfortunately nicking our units, but as you can see, I mean, the helicopters, they're actually not doing too much in the grand scheme of things, just sort of because how the game so far has been playing out. I'm actually going to buy a helicopter to try to get rid of those Super Cobras. But yeah, the game has been flowing like that so far. Oh, got the LMR-LS barrage coming in. Unfortunately, it's probably not going to hit them, but and if they do, they're probably not going to do too much damage, because currently the ships seem to have a unique system where, you know, your usual units will be based out of, like, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, but these guys are they're based on 100, where their base value is 10s, and even the weakest ships usually have a rating of 5 or so. So that is that's just a little tidbit about them. They seem to be very, very powerful and very, very strong. So that is sort of that. We're slightly holding on Constantine, which I suppose will work. Now, about the naval stuff. Currently, it looks like Pact has a bit of advantage, mainly due to the fact that the Pact ships, well, they seem to be much more, like, sturdy than the ones on the opposite team. So, with that said, I'm trying to think of, what can I deploy here? They have a lot of stuff over there, and if I deploy any ships, it's probably going to appear where they are right now, which is a little unfortunate. So, I mean, right here, we're just going to be buzzing down the enemy as best as we can. But yeah, our ships are going to appear here, going to fire off a few missiles. The big thing about it is that a lot of the game seems to be missile dependent, and the NATO ships just don't seem to have that many missiles in comparison to what the Pact players do have. So yeah, as you can see here, I mean, single ships, they take these missiles really rather harshly, but in a big blob like this, they seem to do really, really well against them. What I'm actually going to do is that this guy has a lot of these boats with those missile systems, and I bet the enemy is just in range, so I'm actually just going to supply him with supplies till we can just sort of get those missile systems back in action and see what we can hit, really. I don't believe that, yeah, some people, they turn off hitting supply vessels, so maybe my my logistics boats, these Manas, will actually be able to get back in here nice and safely without the enemy shooting at us. So that is sort of that, and like, as you can see, big barrages are coming down. Ooh, it looks like they'll actually target MRLS missiles too, or rockets I suppose too, so that'll be rather interesting. Or maybe not. Maybe some of the missiles were intermixed with the MRLS systems. Maybe they use the same general animation. Yeah, it would seem as though one of these supply craft, they actually carry roughly the same as an FOB's worth of material. So, you know, I really don't know how that's going to play out inside the game. Perhaps the conversion rate between land forces and sea forces is slightly different than what we would expect, just due to the fact that one FOB currently equates to one big thing on the seas. And it looks like these craft are being supplied with those missiles now, so they're going to fire them off, and they're going to try to do some picks. But unfortunately, again, I mean, with these big blobs, they sort of have a tendency to really develop into these matches where nothing really hits. And the battle just sort of goes from there. I think this match will just really sort of go from here, namely because of the fact that it looks like the naval portion, I mean, it's still in VIP, and from what I can tell so far, I mean, it's sort of stalled up into this match where on the sea side of things, missiles and things would just sort of go back and forth, and that'll sort of be that. And in the meantime, I suppose we could actually start to push up on the sides, but I think I'll end this video here, seeing as how the main purpose of it was really just to check out the amphibious land and sea matches. So I'll see you guys next time. Be sure to like and subscribe for more.